Good morning. Welcome to Monday Monet Motivations. Today's April 16th, 2018. I started these videos and named them after Claude Monet because he was an artist who would paint the same scene over and over several days, with the idea being he'd get a different piece of art depending on his mood or the mood of the day or the shadows or colors. So my goal with these videos is to share some of maybe the same ideas you've heard before, but paint them in a new light, hopefully maybe see a new spin that helps motivate you. And these help motivate me a lot. So today I really want to talk about momentum and why pushing forward with all the things you're working on takes time to see the big results. So today I kind of want to talk about, it's like the compounding effect. I don't really want to talk about numbers, but I mean, you can talk about it in terms of a savings account if you do interest over a long period of time, but really I want to talk about it in the context of your own personal growth. So I want to just visualize like a compounding, like an exponential growth. So a graph that starts out like this and at the end it explodes. And let's say this is maybe like a 5-year time period. And so the concept that I want to point out is that maybe in the first 2/3 or maybe even 3/4 of this time frame, the amount of growth has not really gotten that far. It's maybe only doubled or tripled. And that the huge explosion is right around the corner. If you're just right here, you may say, I've been putting in work for 3 years and I haven't seen hardly any improvement. But if you look at it, the consistency, the compound that you'll need to create, the effort you'll need to put in won't change. You can do the exact same amount of work, and later is when the huge explosion comes. I also want to, the way I'm visualizing this and why I use the word momentum is because I think about pushing a car. Imagine you have a car that's at the stop and you start to push it. At first it's going to take a whole lot of effort. You're going to have to push and push, and it's only going to barely start to move, and it's only going to move a little bit, and then it's going to move a little bit more, and you put in a lot of effort at this point. But then if you be like, you know what, I've only gone 4 feet. I've done a whole lot of work, and this thing has hardly even moved. What is the point? And then you stop now, that car is going to coast back to a stop. And then if you're like, okay, I'm going to try again, then you're going to have to put in all that same effort again, and it's only going to show again maybe 4 feet. But if you take that exact same amount of effort that you put in the first bit and the second time, but you put them in a consistent back to back, you put in all that effort, but then you don't stop, you put in all that effort again, then the same amount of effort that you put in will now create that car moving to the point where you're like running behind it and it's really going. It's really made a huge amount. It may even seem like you're putting in less effort at some point. There might hit that moment where you're putting in, it seems like less, maybe it's the same, but that car is now really rolling and it's hit that point, that moment of huge payout for the effort that you're putting in. And that same thing applies to your work, from losing weight to working out to increasing your habits for your mornings, or everything that you're working on. There's a point where it may seem like all those efforts aren't really paying out, but if you keep pushing, there's a moment, there's a place where the payout really starts to hit a huge growth. So the other concept I want to talk about today maybe is a little bit different. My thoughts today are really scattered, so hopefully this is all making sense. The next thing I want to talk about is something I read in the scriptures. It's about there's this war captain. His name's Moroni. He's out. He's got his army, and he's protecting the city from all these other enemy armies. And he is a much smaller army, and he has been holding back this huge army with his smarts, with all this effort. But then all of a sudden he stops getting that support from the government back home. We find out later that there was turmoil going on, but for sake of argument, for what he's going through, if he can't continue to get that steady support, that steady supply, he can't keep that army back. And the people back at home don't realize how much their little efforts of just sending food to the army has been protecting them, and they start to take it for granted. And I think that same thing can apply to us when we're trying to make steady results. Sometimes we don't realize what we're building. We don't realize how fast that car can really get later. We don't realize how much momentum and how much effort we've been putting in to hold back all this stuff. That car will just grind to a halt if you don't keep pushing it. But if our steady efforts keep on going, we keep on feeding that, there are huge results that can come. I hope that makes sense, and I hope that this brings value to you, and I'll share my links to my other videos, and hopefully you guys have a great week.